Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports. I'm your host, Jaden Chandler Parnell, and man, it feels weird. We don't got a game this week. First week in like 20 plus weeks that we don't got a game. It's a really weird feeling. So when it comes to today, it's pretty much going to be simple. Since there's no games to talk about, nothing really break down that aspect. We'll be talking a little bit about the Super Bowl. I'll pretty much be talking about, go over some NFL news that started out today, and then we'll pretty much spend the rest of the day pretty much just talking about the journey and how the Chiefs and 49ers each reached the Super Bowl, how their seasons went, what happened in the beginning of the offseason, what happened reaching to where they are at now. Yeah, I won't lie. We're going to try this out. I have a green hat on. Just kind of realized that fully. I was trying to match it with the green on the shirt, and then I realized, might blend in with the background a little bit. So we might leave this on for a little bit. We might end up taking it off halfway through. We'll have to see. But yeah, without any further ado, like I said, today we're pretty much just going to go over NFL news. And then kind of just talk about what to expect. Not what to expect, sorry. Kind of what has happened this season leading up to the Super Bowl. Yeah, without any further ado, we'll go over some NFL news. Yeah, because I won't lie. Like, there's the green ball up top, like the green right here. I won't lie, I just matched the green of the shirt. So I'm like, yeah, let's put it on. Then I kind of realized, like, oh, yeah. You kind of got a green screen. So, yeah, I don't know how long this hat's going to stay on. I just don't want to take it off yet. So, let's get rolling. NFL-wise, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think there's gonna be too much NFL news that's crazy. Just because we're kind of in the middle of the Super, like waiting to get to the Super Bowl. So there's that aspect of it. There's certain like coaches you can't hire from the Chiefs and 49ers staff. If there's anybody who wants there, but I don't know if anybody's leaving for there. It's kind of like a weird time because it's in the middle of basically, yeah, it's just like a dead period. Pro Bowl week. We're learning alternates for the Pro Bowl. We're doing just a bunch of weird stuff. But some big news for the Seattle Seahawks. They hired Mike Macdonald as their new their new head coach. They signed him to a 6-year deal, and he's 36. He's going to be the youngest NFL coach. This is probably a really good signing for them because, I don't know. Obviously they probably should have maybe got like Vrabel or somebody like that. Maybe. That's the only argument I couldn't make. But I think Mike Macdonald's going to be really good. They're going to be really good help. You saw how good the Ravens defense was this year. He's able to put a lot of guys in a lot of good positions with what he was scheming up and everything. So I'm very excited to see what he does for a Seahawks team that's had some defensive struggles over the last few years with anywhere from, you name it. They've had issues with the defense. Ever since Legion Boone, man, the defensive line hasn't been as good. The DBs have been in and out. Consistency-wise, last year was just a down year for the team overall on offense and defense. So Mike Macdonald, they got rid of Pete Carroll. It's going to be interesting to see what happens now with Mike Macdonald. But yeah, Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll. 2 of those 3, if not all 3 of those coaches are not going to be coaching next year. That's just weird, man. That is weird. Doesn't feel right. Just really weird with how good all 3 of those coaches are that we aren't going to see any of them, potentially. The Titans are going to hire Ravens Wilson as their next DC. This is Denard Wilson's, Coach Denard Wilson, who was their DB's coach at the time for the Baltimore Ravens. Was probably, I won't lie, apparently he was supposed to be the new DC for the Ravens potentially. So this is probably a really good steal for the Titans. I don't know. I won't lie. I know how good McDonald's been a little bit more. I don't know how much the Ravens DB coach has been, but Kyle Hamilton's a stud. He was insane this year. So if we want to base it off that. No, I think this should be probably a decent move, if we're being honest. It shouldn't be too bad at all. And an interesting news for the day, I guess yesterday is the best way to put it. Boston College's head coach, Jeff Hafley? I think that's what you say, Jeff Hafley. He's going to sign with the Packers, become their DC. Apparently this is like a really, really good move. I think it's weird. A lot of the fans are like, oh, what the hell? Why'd we sign this guy? But then there's people like... There's people I follow in the media who are like, man, we're losing all these good college coaches now. First this guy, now we're losing, or no, first some other guy, now we're losing this guy. I won't mind. I thought Boston College wasn't horrible this year. They had a lot of fight. I'll admit, Boston College was impressive this year. I don't know what their defense did exactly. He spent the last 4 seasons. This guy spent the last 4 seasons at Boston College, 22-26 record. He was a defensive back. Ohio State coach. He was a defensive backs coach at Ohio State before taking the Boston College. Yeah, I don't know. He can't be worse than Joe Barry, right? That's the only thing I can think of is like he might be better than Joe Barry, maybe, but I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of this move. I don't. We'll have to see. I want to say it's an upgrade because they got rid of Joe Barry out of the building, but then they bring in a relatively unknown guy. It's nothing against him. I don't got anything to know like, oh, this guy's amazing with the 4-3. He can really scheme up blitzes outside. Like, I got none of that stuff. Really to say about him. I think he'll be decent. I mean, like I said, he's filling shoes where I think a lot of fans are kind of like, oh, what the hell? So if he can impress him off the bat, he'll be able to get the fans on his side pretty quickly. Michael Parsons says we need to acquire players that we're missing. What is that? We need to acquire players that we're missing. What? No, apparently he's like, they're talking about how we're going all in on this year, man. That's what I would hope for. This is apparently what he said on his podcast. I'm 24 years old. I've been in the league 3 years, and I've kind of seen it all. I hope we go all in. I hope we go out and get the players that we're missing. I've seen it. Dude, I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I've seen it all. Bro can't just say... I'm not going to lie. I won't lie. Just, I've been in there 3 years. I've seen it all. That part's kind of like, all right, man. All right. Okay, we officially made the change. Yeah. Once I saw his thing going through my shirt a little bit right there, too, I'm like, all right, we got to fix it at least a little bit. But yeah, no, I don't know. Cowboys are the Cowboys, man. I'm not shocked they lost. I'm kind of shocked how they lost to the Packers. I'm not shocked they lost to them, but I don't know, man. I don't know what else they really need to acquire that's going to make them any different. I guess they could use some bigger linebackers maybe to help with the run and everything. I just don't know, man. I could not tell you what they're missing. I do like, though, it seems like the Lions are going to be able to keep both their OC and their DC going into next season, which is going to be huge. I am very, very excited to see how this will turn out, especially for the Lions because, yeah, I mean, they had a really good season this year. They just got unlucky with I guess unlucky might not be the right word. They kind of just find the ball. They're going for it on fourth down. Just kind of didn't go their way for the first time in forever games. And, of course, it just happened to be the NFC Championship game. So keeping both their guys, I'm very excited to see how they'll do. Just because I think that the Lions potentially, will they get back in the spot? I don't know. Their schedule's going to be a lot harder since they won their division. So that aspect of it's going to already be an issue. But I think I think Dan Campbell can get the boys back. Especially if they keep a lot of the team together. I think there's a chance these boys can come back. It just, they went from being from doing the hunting to now they're going to be the hunted. Because I don't think anybody's going to be caught off guard with these Lions anymore. Quentin Johnson said he's due for a breakout with Coach Harbaugh joining. I think he could. I mean, it just sucks because he was supposed to show out last year and basically just had a down year. I don't know if that's more of his fault. I don't know if it's a coaching situation. I don't know what. So I'm curious to see what Quentin Johnson can do because he's pretty good at TCU. I mean, he made some big plays for them when it mattered, but then there was also sucks. You think about some of those games where it's like, against Georgia, he didn't really do much. So I don't know. Is it just one of those things where he disappears in the big games, or is it just... Because, I mean, you can't say that either because he played pretty well at TCU. I mean, or against Michigan, he had some big games. I don't know. I'm very excited to see how he does, though. It's a young player with a lot of talent. He has a lot of talent. He just had, it's a rough rookie year. Maybe he is going to... I know they say there's a sophomore slump usually sometimes for players who are really good, but sometimes, I mean, he didn't have the best season. Maybe there's not a sophomore slump. Maybe he's able to figure it out. Devontae Smith said that Sirianni hasn't lost the team at all. That's good to know. I'm assuming he hasn't. It's shocking to see that people want to kick him out of Philly after he just made the Super Bowl. Jerry Jones, no doubt I could work with Belichick. Why is he saying that? I wonder if he's going to hire... So the Cowboys are going to be a destination I think we watch for Bill Belichick next season maybe because they aren't extending Mike McCarthy. Maybe they're giving Big Mike, this is your last chance, and maybe we see Belichick. Maybe. Or maybe Vrabel. I don't know. This is going to be very interesting for the Cowboys. I think they're going to do something very similar where they have a good regular season. Probably not win anything in the playoffs, maybe win one game, and then it's going to be very interesting to see, do they move on from Dak and Big Mike? Do they move on just from Big Mike? What change would be made? Because it felt like they were kind of in like a half blow-up, half rebuild, slightly, when they got rid of like Zeke, got rid of Amari Cooper. Like what was that? This last upcoming past season, it felt like they were trying to avoid it, and now they're coming in this upcoming season, they're going to do the same thing again. And then I feel like this next upcoming season, where they're going to finally be like, all right. It's not working, Big Mike. The big thing's Dak. Are they going to keep Dak? Or are they going to try to go young maybe in the QB draft? That's going to be very, very big and see. Because Dak hasn't been playing horrible. It's just the big thing with Dak now is, like, can he get you over the edge? Bobby Slowick is staying with the Texans. despite head coaching opportunities. Good for him, man. He wants to continue growing with C.J. Stroud. I think that he might be. Maybe that means he goes next season with. He might become a head coach next season. That's basically what I was trying to say. I was trying to think of maybe a place that he could go, but I don't know where Bobby Slowick would go. Especially now with some of these jobs obviously closing and everything. I don't know. I can't obviously project it a year out, but I'm very curious to see where he could end up going. Apparently, multiple teams interview him, including, Jesus Christ, the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks. But obviously, both of them, the Commanders don't have a coach. Obviously, Seattle just signed their coach. It's going to be very interesting to see where Slowick ends up, because obviously, if he has another good year with C.J. Stroud, there's a very good chance he's going to end up probably head coach somewhere if he wants. And the Bills are promoting their linebackers coach to DC, that Babich, B-A-B-I-C-H, Babich. I actually don't know Bobby Bobick. I don't know how to say that. I'm not going to lie. That's actually kind of I hope I'm right. I apologize if I'm not, but he's going to be the new DC. I'm sure Bills fans know how to pronounce his name a lot better than I do. Yep, we just talked about Ben Johnson saying, apparently Carolina Panthers are going to hire Tampa Bay's wide receivers coach Brad Isaac as an OC. So it looks like Carolina's going to be... I'm going to be very interested to see how Carolina's offense looks. I think if it looks very similar to how the Bucs did last year, they're going to be decent. They just need some damn receivers. I tell you what, they got no wide receivers in that roster, really. They got Adam Thielen and a bunch of dudes. The Steelers are going to sign Arthur Smith as their OC. Very good. Probably going to end up being good. With less, you just got to think about it. He's going to have less responsibilities. He wasn't horrible with the Tennessee Titans. He's going to a spot without a quarterback. I don't know. He's going to, between Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph, I don't know what his quarterback situation. You could argue it's worse than it was in Atlanta, but somebody said Pickens and Warren ain't touching the ball again. I don't know. I think he's going to be a lot better than a lot of people think. I think a lot of people are just bashing him. Because, I mean, I'm going to lie. People are bashing him for, like, oh, he didn't give Bijan enough touches. He didn't do this. If you look at Bijan's carries, Bijan was really close to, like, Christian McCaffrey in carries. If I'm not mistaken, he was only, like, 4 carries or something behind him. It was a very small amount. Like, Bijan actually got a good amount of touches on the season. It's just... There's some big games where he probably should have got a little bit more. The Arthur Smith maybe just schemed himself out of it, whatever it was. There were just like 3 or 4 big games where Bijan only had like 0.7 in fantasy, or only got like 4 carries, and teams were like, "Why is that happening?" Because Bijan actually ended up doing a lot better. Looking back, I mean, I'll admit I was one of those people. I had Bijan in fantasy, and I felt like he was getting underutilized. And I looked at the end of the season, it's like, well, maybe not. Maybe it was just they needed a better quarterback. I don't know. I think Arthur Smith will be a lot better than a lot of people think, but I don't know how good. That's the thing. And that's probably it for the news actually today. I think we pretty much covered everything else. Wow. I just realized, well, real quick before I move on to NFL, or move on to the stories to talk about Super Bowl, I'll talk on some other news, I guess, like Damian Lillard and his return to Portland lost. That's kind of interesting. I don't think there's anything else big I really want to talk about, though. I just noticed that popped out. I'm like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, because like I don't think there's too much to talk about the NBA. NBA is not until like we haven't even passed the All-Star break of the NBA yet, so it's like we don't need to worry about any of that yet. MLB pitchers and catchers reporting in 12 to 13 days, so there's obviously. I won't lie. Sheffield rips the flawed Hall of Famers voting thing like that. That should actually be some news, but I'll talk about that probably a few weeks. I'll talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame issue because I'll admit. Bill Simmons brought up a good point. I understand it's the steroids era and everything, so I'm not going to get into this too deep. But it is interesting how even with the steroids, obviously those guys are probably going to have Hall of Fame careers and be good, but obviously the steroids help them slightly. And by slightly, I mean I just gave them a little. Like, I mean, Barry Bonds probably hits 30 to even 50 home runs, but with steroids, obviously he hits easily 70. I mean, shit like that. But it sucks because you have a lot of names in baseball history, like Pete Rose. Pete Rose is one of the biggest names in baseball history, but because he sports gambled on himself, you aren't ever going to see him in the Hall of Fame. My buddy Rose talked about it. Apparently, when you go to the Hall of Fame and you see Pete Rose stuff, you see Cincinnati Reds number 2, or whatever number he was. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. But you just see Cincinnati Reds number 2, Cincinnati Reds number this. And, like, that's just crazy, man. Just crazy how the Baseball Hall of Fame is working like that. But we ain't baseball season, man. We still got a little bit of football left to talk. NCAA-wise, I don't think there's... Tennessee, Virginia AGs are suing NCAA over NIL restrictions. We're going to see what that's all about. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin is going against a negligence lawsuit. Iowa hired a new OC, which I think a lot of people are really Tim Lester from Western Michigan. A lot of people are kind of up in arms about it, and I don't think. But I mean, the Iowa's OC was so bad. I think a lot of people are kind of like, you can't be much worse. Riley Leonard's getting ankle surgery. That's not good. That really scares me because apparently, dude, I didn't realize that his ankle was that bad. So if you guys remember, Riley Leonard did get his ankle hurt. You know what? I don't need to talk about college basketball. What am I doing, man? Yeah, he did an ankle surgery. I don't think I need to talk about NCAA. NCAA is so far away. If anything, we're going to talk about college basketball. Purdue, man. Purdue went off last night. I ain't going to talk about... We ain't talking about college basketball, though. Shout out to Purdue, man. Making me that money. But yeah, we're going to basically just go over the journey real quick. Like I talked about it, we just kind of filled some dead air while I decided who I want to talk about first. We'll talk about the San Francisco 49ers. We'll talk about pretty much their journey to get in the Super Bowl. San Francisco 49ers finished the season 12-5. And their biggest question, pretty much the whole season, was like, Brock Purdy can't do anything. Brock Purdy can't do anything. Especially in the middle of the season, that was like one of the bigger storylines. It's just crazy, man, how the season's gone for them. I'm trying to see real quick if it's worth me scrolling all the way to the bottom to go over like the news items as well. It is not. We'll start off the season. It's week 1. They started off the season really well. Started off on a 5-0 run, which included blowing out the Steelers week 1. That's when everyone thought the Steelers were going to be special. Everyone was like, look at them in the preseason. They're going off. They've been scoring a lot of points. And then literally first game, they just get smacked in the mouth by the 49ers. But yeah, 49ers were going to beat the Rams, Giants, Cardinals, and Cowboys. The first loss would come to the Browns 19-17, and that's when a lot of the questions began. So this is the first loss of the season. Brock Purdy's first as a starter when they faced the Browns. That's what I was just confused on. It came down to pretty much a field goal. Hopkins hit a 29-yard field goal late that kind of sealed it. Brock Purdy only had 125 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Weather was horrible, though. I remember they lost. This is where that bad slide happened. They lost to the Browns, and they lost to the Vikings 22-17, and then they lost to the Bengals 31-17. And that's about when everyone's like, what is going on with this team? Brock Purdy they're like, they can't, what is going on? Everyone's basically flipping out. And then they go into their bye week. So this was about when I think everyone was kind of like, the 49ers are the same old 49ers. They aren't going to do anything. And then, people here, for example, I will, so this is, there's a score app I use. I use the score, shout out. I'll read the chat. These are some of the, I'm not going to say the names in the chat, but these are some of the people. These are some of their reactions. Purdy is mediocre as he gets, carried by an elite defensive star players. Purdy is not that caliber. And then literally it's crazy. He had one bad game. Purdy is a fluke all game. Thought it was legit. Purdy is mediocre. Purdy is bad. The overpaid person in the Niners roster is Bosa. Purdy's lucky that, just stuff like that. Yeah, like the city was like, Purdy's lucky he's played with all these stars or he'd be nothing. Like a bunch of shit like that. And it's just like, man, that is crazy. They lost 3 games. They lost 3 games in a row. They lost to Joe Burrow. That was the Joe Burrow Bengals at the time. So nothing phases the 49ers. Obviously, they come back. They win 34-3 against the Jags. Just absolutely slaughter them at Jacksonville. This is about the season where we're like, man, can Jacksonville not play with good teams potentially? And then the 49ers go on. They beat the Bucs 27-14. By the way, shout out to the 49ers. They've stayed relatively healthy all season. Like, they've dealt with minor issues here and there, with like McCaffrey missing a week, Debo missing a week or two. But overall, most of that team's been healthy throughout the whole season. And I think that was a part of the reason they've been so good as well. Because, they beat the Seahawks 31-13. Blow out the Eagles 42-19. That's when we're kind of like, oh, shit. Everyone was kind of like, Eagles are going to get their lick back. Eagles are going to get them back. It's at home for the Eagles. They got destroyed. Brock Purdy threw for 4 touchdowns. And then a lot of people were like, oh, we're the Philly fans now, huh? It's crazy how much it flips week to week. Now this is about when everyone's like, Purdy for MVP, Purdy for MVP. That was about when everyone started that conversation. It was about when they played the Eagles. Then they would go on to beat the Seahawks, blow out the Cardinals. Then the big game, they would lose to the Ravens. This was like towards the end of the season. They ended up losing to the Ravens, and that's the big one about people are like, all right, so they're good, but when they come to playing these good teams, they aren't going to be able to do it. This is about when a lot of people thought this would be a Super Bowl matchup. Like, the Ravens are going to get them in the Super Bowl. The 49ers, like, Brock Purdy's just a guy with all these superstars. Like, we'll go into the comments, see what some people say, because it's crazy. Brock Turdy. That was a good one. Oh, dude, that was a good one. Mike was definitely crying. Super Bowl rematch, parlay it. That's what a lot of people were saying. San Francisco is the mech. Oh, I can't say that one. That one, I mean, it's not nothing like too crazy, but I'm not gonna. I will lie. It's a little far. The Ravens lost to Cleveland. They're talking about that. And San Francisco lost to Cleveland Browns. What do you think they can beat Baltimore? Even though legit the Ravens lost to them as well. A bunch of stuff like that. Even somebody in the comments said Bills Super Bowl. That guy's a jackass. No, overall, realistically, I mean, it was just crazy. A lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, Brock Purdy's not an MVP." This was pretty much the game Lamar won. It was Lamar versus Brock Purdy for the MVP, pretty much. If Brock Purdy won this matchup and played well, he was most likely winning the MVP. Instead, Lamar wins. He's going to end up getting the MVP. And the next week, they beat the Commanders. They basically don't play against they end up losing to Carson Wentz. 49ers last week of the season don't play anybody, pretty much. And then they end up going to... Oh. My boy just shared his thing. Sorry. My boy Rowan just finished this show up, and I just saw his notification. That's what got me messed up. But yeah, like Puka Nacua ends up scoring a touchdown. Carson Wentz scores a rushing touchdown in this game. They end up just winning. 49ers end up losing this game. It doesn't really matter at all because I think they end up with the 1 seed anyway. So, like, all right, whatever, we won't play anybody. So that leads them into they got the bye on the wildcard weekend, obviously. Play the Packers. We talked about a little bit last week how the Packers gave them a bit of the scare, just did the slow start. And that's been basically pretty much the theme of the it's been the theme ever since they had that ever since they sat everybody for those 2 weeks. It's just slow start against the Packers 24-21, slow start against the Lions, but then they went 34-31. Both seasons 3-point win, so it makes me think if the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, especially if it's another slow start, they're going to win probably by 3 because they can't start slow. That's the biggest thing is they cannot start slow. If they start slow again, I think this is going to be where they get got. You know, they say third time's a charm. They started slow twice. They start slow the third time. I think they're going to get got. But yeah, it's just crazy, man. Over the whole season, how all the stuff changed, everything, how it's just changed so often. What people what think, it's crazy. CMC and Ayuk weren't on the Niners in 2019. And you think about how much has changed now. And those were two of the guys who made some of the two biggest plays in that game. Man, it's been awesome, man. It's been truly awesome. I'm just trying to think of, like I said, I don't think many people got injured throughout the season. Christian McCaffrey was able to finish the year with 272 rushing attempts without getting injured, except for 1 week. That's really awesome. And they weren't going to play him that last week anyway. Let's see. Even the Juice, Kyle Juszczyk got some carries this year. I seriously, I'm looking at their roster right now, and I can't think of a single guy that's gotten hurt. Okay, Hufanga. I'll admit, that was the one guy. I knew there was somebody, I couldn't think of his name, but Hufanga was probably their biggest loss of the season when he tore his ACL. I can't remember what week he did at this point. We'll check his game. About November 19th against Tampa Bay is when he tore. That's pretty much the 49ers' biggest loss. And even then, they've had their DBs have been playing really well in the back end. So shout out to the 49ers, man. They went back to the Super Bowl after, because you remember last year, I forgot to say how this even started. Last year, they played the Eagles. They lose everybody in the first, pretty much quarterback-wise. Brock Purdy, hurt elbow, gone. Josh Johnson ends up coming in. He ends up with a concussion. He's out. The second quarterback, I can't even remember who the second quarterback is. I can't even remember how the second quarterback got hurt. But something happened to the second quarterback. He's hurt. He's out. So it counts to Christian McCaffrey. He's the one. He can't even throw passes. They can't even throw passes on offense. Christian McCaffrey is occasionally throwing a pass or two, and I don't think they threw it that much. They pretty much just had to run the ball and get out of there because they had no quarterback. And they thought about this all offseason. It's like, we're getting back. We're getting back to that spot. We're beating the Eagles. We're getting back to that spot. Sure enough, the Eagles get upset. So they don't even got to worry about the Eagles. And they end up playing the Packers, and that doesn't matter because they end up getting past them. But, man, just to go what they did from the start of last season to get to where they are now in Super Bowl, I think it's 58, right? 58. I mean, it's truly special, man. Brock Purdy, unreal. 21-6 as a starter. The average keeps going. I'm assuming the average, it was 29.5 last time. They scored 34 this game. If anything, it might go up to like slightly 30, but pretty much they average 30 a game on offense when it's under Brock Purdy. Average 30 points a game. He's 21-5. That's a pretty good record. I would say they have the best chance to win the Super Bowl if they weren't playing a guy who was 14-3 in the playoffs. And that's that boy, Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to read this off this playoff stats for Patrick Mahomes before I... Oh, Colts cheerleader made it to the Pro Bowl games. I forgot about that. But yeah, no, my fault. I got... I'm trying to find this on Twitter. I got distracted by it. It's like, oh yeah, it's, the Pro Bowl stuff's going on. No, but by the way, shout out Chris Collins last night, the Northwestern coach. If you know, you know. -7.5. Shout out the technical. Let's see. I'm trying to find... Here's the Patrick Mahomes stat. Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. He has played a full season in the playoffs now. He's played 17 postseason games, excuse me. 14-3 record, 422 for 626, 67%. 4,800 passing yards, 458 rushing yards, 39 passing touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So this guy is averaging 46 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Would you say that's good? I think it's pretty good. That's about an average of 6.5 touchdowns to an interception. Ridiculous, honestly. Shout out Mahomes, man. But yeah, if you don't remember how this season started, this was pretty much the season from hell. My buddy, I'll admit, shout out my boy Rowan. Yeah, he said it perfectly. He said that this was going to be the year that the Chiefs struggle. They were just not going to have the best regular season, and he was right. I mean, realistically, they had a very non-normal Chiefs regular season. They finished 11-6 overall, so I mean the record is still ended up pretty good. But if you watch their season, he nailed it on the head, man. They had issues with receivers dropping the ball. Kelsey was dropping the ball. Kelsey looked old. Chris Jones, before the season even started, was having a contract dispute. Their season got started late because they won the Super Bowl. There was issues. I mean, this team was actually somewhat injured. They had Omena, who's suspended for the first 6 games. Now he's gone for the Super Bowl. This is a team that you want to talk about dealing with the opposite of drama. I mean, the 49ers' only drama they really dealt with was the fact that, Brock Purdy's not an MVP. He sucks. And that they were dealing with this 49ers. I mean, I won't lie. The 49ers were pretty... I think a lot of people thought the 49ers were going to win in the West because everyone's like, yeah, this is the best team in the West. This is the best team in the West. I think a lot of people thought the Ravens were going to be that team in the AFC, but no. Mahomes and them, they just find a way to do it. This season, man, Andy Reid shouted out that Raiders game to kind of be the wake-up call where it's like, hey, let's go now. This is our time. I mean, yeah, like I said, we talked about the beginning of the season. They didn't have Chris Jones at all. And they started off the season losing to the Lions. They lose 21-20 to the Lions, and this was everyone's like, whoa, what is going on? Patrick Mahomes had an interception off of Kadarius Toney's hands that bounced right off it. Everyone's like, whoa, what's going on? Are the Lions actually this good, or was it the Chiefs? That was supposed to be the Chiefs' Super Bowl celebration game. They lose that, but it's okay. They come back. They beat the Jaguars 17-9. Blow out the Bears 41-10. Everyone's kind of like, okay, the Chiefs are good. The Chiefs are good. And this is where it starts to get weird. Beat the Jets 23-20. Beat the Vikings 27-20. Broncos 19-8. Win against the Chargers 31-17. These are all close games. Everyone's kind of like, man, what is going on? And then, mind you, by this point in the season, the Broncos have already gotten beaten like 70-20 by the Dolphins. So everyone's like, oh shit, they're going to be awful. This Broncos team is horrible. Broncos come back. They win 24-9. There was a muff punt. I can't remember if it's Kadarius Toney or Mecole Hardman. One of them muff a punt that leads to pretty much the Broncos winning. Because the Chiefs have a chance to come back. It was like 20... I can't remember the score. It's like 17-9 maybe when before they muffed that ball. And then the Chiefs end up giving up a touchdown. It doesn't matter. So then that happens. They end up going to... Germany, and then they get a little wild card preview without knowing it's a wild card preview. Beat the Dolphins 21-14. Dolphins, they pretty much go up 21 right away, give up 14 to the Dolphins, and then nothing else happens the rest of the game. So that was a big win for them. Chiefs going by. Then they come back out of the bye, losing to the Eagles 21-17. There's a second half rally a little bit by the Eagles. They scored 2 late touchdowns. This is about the point in the season where a stat came out where the Chiefs are only scoring like 5 points in the second half, and everyone's like, man, what are they doing? I'll admit, this last game against the Ravens, they didn't score any second half points again, but a lot of people realize, like, man, why can't this team score? What is going on with this team? This team's been horrible all second half, all season. There's no way this can keep up, right? They just keep being horrible. Anytime they come in the second half, those weren't scoring. Then they get their revenge. They played the first game against the Raiders. They end up winning 31-17, blow them out in Las Vegas, which is hilarious that these teams traded home games pretty much. That the Chiefs won their road game and the Raiders won their road game. But yeah, pretty much, I mean, the Chiefs come back, they answer. Mahomes has 2 touchdowns. They look decently good. I mean, they had a bit of a slower start, but they were at least able to score in the second half this time. Then you move on next week. They lose to the Packers 27-19, and this is about when everyone's like, oh, the Packers might be decent. And then, of course, everyone's kind of like, what's going on with the Chiefs? How are they losing to this team? The Chiefs shouldn't be losing to that team, even though it was at Lambeau. I mean, I'll admit, it was at Lambeau. Thought they might win. Then they lose to the Bills the following week, so they have another loss. Then they beat the Patriots, but then lose to the Raiders on Christmas. So I think this is about when all panic broke loose. Like, yeah, if they're losing to the Raiders team, like this Chiefs team's going to lose in the first round. They're going to bend to anybody. And then you move on. They beat the Bengals. They beat the Chargers in the year. No one really plays. And they go in the first round of the playoffs. And this is when the switch flips completely. All of a sudden, they win 26-7. Absolutely just destroy the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins just looked like they didn't want to be there in the cold. The Chiefs looked like it's like, yeah, hey, it's our time now. Let's go. Wild card weekend. This is our time. We're playing. And the Dolphins kind of came into Kansas City. And I'm not going to say they didn't want to be there, obviously, because of the playoff game, all the injuries and everything. It felt like everything added up. And the Dolphins just ran out of steam pretty much and were out of gas by the time they reached the game. So they lose 26-7. Next game comes up. The Bills really give them a good fight like they've had in a lot of these playoffs games. Josh Allen does what he does. Just again, I mean, this was the first game in a while. He's averaged a lot of yards against the Chiefs passing wise. His first game he only had like 180. But he had a good amount on the ground as well. They missed a field goal. The Chiefs end up sneaking by to win again. Yeah, somehow, some way, the Chiefs win again. And at this point, everyone's kind of like, man, how did they just find ways to do it? Pacheco running on the ground did really good. And then, the Ravens game. Crazy. The Chiefs were dogs in the Bills game. They were dogs again in this game. Yeah, then they were dogs again against the Ravens. And it's like, oh, -4.5. There's no way, right? There's no way. The Ravens have been good all year. The Ravens have been hot. And what the Chiefs have done all season, they did again. The defense came out, dragged them to their level, and they played probably the worst they played all season, the Ravens did. Yeah, that's probably, I mean, the defense balled out for Steve Spagnuolo. He was in his bag pretty much these last few games, man. Because, I mean, even against the Bills game, 27-24, you're like, oh, he's in his bag? Yeah, he dialed up that last drive perfectly to get the Bills into a long field goal and they end up missing. So, and I mean, against the Ravens, he had Lamar flustered all day. Lamar did not look like himself at all that game. So I thought that was really, really impressive by Steve Spagnuolo to be able to do all that. And then, yeah, the Chiefs end up finding a way to do it again themselves. They've dealt with injuries all year. I mean, Tooney's already not going to be gone. He's going to be probably not playing the Super Bowl is the scary thing. Willie Gay, sounds like, I don't know what his status is going to be with his neck, but he's been injured for 2 weeks. I mean, this was a team that, they had the opposite happen to them. They were battling injuries. Kelsey missed a game or two. They were dealing with the drops, like I said. This is a team, unlike the 49ers, that had issues all season, but just they have Patrick Mahomes, so they just find a way to win. And it comes down to the point, I've mentioned it before, I bet on the Chiefs all 3 games of the playoffs so far. And I'll admit, I even had a little bit of money on the Ravens, though, and I said, this is the game. This is the game where if Mahomes beats Lamar Jackson, I'm never, ever betting against Patrick Mahomes again. He has proven to me that he is the guy. He's the next Tom Brady pretty much, and that's what he's done. Because there's a rule. There's been one person ever in sports that I finally got to the point, it's like, I just can't bet against him. And that was Tom Brady. And it sucks because it was towards the, eventually that rule could change. That rule ended up getting broken a decent amount. I won't lie, because it was the end of his tenure. And just because, by the time I started betting, it was about probably 2015, 16, 17-ish. I mean, by that point, he's already at the tail end of his career. But even then, still, there's sometimes like, man, I just can't. It scares me. And it's just like, Mahomes is 28 years old. 28 years old, and for the next 10 years, anytime you see him in the playoffs, it's like, you might as well bet on him, especially as a dog. Now, at this point, I think he's like 11-0-1 as a dog in the playoffs when it comes to covering the spread and everything. He's insane, man, honestly. Patrick Mahomes is really good at football. The Chiefs just find ways to win. It's unbelievable. And now we get a Super Bowl rematch of the 2020 Super Bowl. It's crazy. But yeah, man, from one team that pretty much dealt with all the injuries last year and came up just short getting back to the team that legit won it last year, and they made the thing go back to back. Taylor Swift is in the Super Bowl. No, I mean, honestly, it's gonna be a fun Super Bowl, I think. There's a lot of people complaining and like, oh, how is this the matchup? Why is this the matchup? This makes no sense. This is dumb. By the way, so I just realized I didn't have a light on this whole time. That's probably why my shirt was so messed up. We're 30-something minutes in, and I just realized I didn't have my main lights on. Oops. No, but overall, because I mean, look how much clearer this looks now and everything. The shadows aren't nearly as bad. God damn, boy. You can tell I'm all flustered by not having games this week. But no, honestly, I think it's gonna be a really good Super Bowl overall, though. I truly think that, for the most part, I mean, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, we didn't want the Super Bowl. This is not the matchup we wanted. I mean, it's going to be a good matchup. These are two of the better teams. Arguably two of the best teams now playing. I know the Ravens are really good, but I would argue that the Chiefs are better. The way the Chiefs have been played a lot better. I mean, like I said, the Ravens didn't look a little bit nervous in their game. The Chiefs looked fully confident. So we get a rematch of the 2020 Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs win. I already have some money on the Chiefs. Like I said, I'll talk about it more probably next week. Over the next week, I'll give out my bets on the Super Bowl. I'll talk about it a little bit on Tuesday, and then I'll talk more about it on, obviously, Thursday. That's all we're going to be talking about. It's just Super Bowl, everything Super Bowl-wise. It's probably be a good 30, 40 minutes of Super Bowl bets, props, talk, anything you could get. But yeah, in the show, kind of just talk about the betting season, the NFL season overall. We'll end this Thursday, just quickly going over like how the betting season went. I'll probably do this again on Tuesday, potentially. I'll go over like briefly, maybe. I don't know. It just depends how much time I spend on it today. But overall, man, it was a really, really good season. We still got one more game left to go. But I at least can talk about it somewhat a little bit. Betting-wise this season, 69. So this is college football for the regular season. We ended up going 69-55 on. And pretty much all I did was bet college straights. The bowl season, 23-8. So if you combine that together, I'm not gonna do that math right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big math guy. No, I think it's like 82 and like 60 something overall. That's a really good, successful college football season. It's been a lot of fun. I just still like it. I can't believe it's over. NFL betting wise for the straights, 49, 43, and 2 this season. The player props went 43 and 41. Nasty Boys for college 2 and 11. For the NFL is 5 and 23. But if you do the math on those, we ended up positive on both of those because I think we made about close to $500 to $700 with the NFL Nasty Boy, and with the college one we made close to about $200 to $300. Only bet about $200 for the NFL. Only bet about $110 for the college. And then for the NFL playoffs, man, we've been balling 6-3, straight up picking games. Probably 7-2, maybe. I might have counted that wrong. 20-11 for the props that have been given out, and then for touchdown scores, we're 17-16. So if you notice, if you don't count the, if you go by unit wise, everything is up. It was an amazing football season for us. If you obviously record wise, there's 2 bad records with the Nasty Boys, but everything else is a positive record, which means we're up on the year. Like I said, I'm sad football's over, man. It's been a really, really fun season. It's crazy to think that we're in the madness now, but I don't lie. I'm excited for college basketball a little bit, too. Got to watch the end of that Purdue game yesterday. That was very exciting, watching Zach Edey do his thing. He had a nasty spin move against some guard. I won't lie, the guard's like 6'3". So, he probably didn't even need to do the spin move. But there's some big men that will run that guy over. That's a charge. Edey, like I said, and spin move, quick little yam. See a big man with that much grace. It's something to watch. I might as well have a fetish for big men in basketball because I love watching the post play. I love watching big men do work down there. So watching Zach Edey is just like a true joy, honestly. But yeah, it's crazy, man. We got one more game pretty much next week. A week from now, we'll be talking about the last game until NFL season, and then there'll be some NFL news here and there, obviously. But it's not gonna be a serious football talk till like August, September, man. That's what's crazy is we're about to come up on the drought. So truly enjoy it while we can, because yeah, it's crazy, man. We legit got a week and like 3-4 days till the Super Bowl, and then after that we got the NFL draft in April, and then past that, we'll have people reporting to camps. We'll have all that, the stupid BS. We'll have Hard Knocks to talk about, but up until about we'll go with September, first week of September, we aren't gonna have any real football games. So it's crazy, man. The season really, truly did flow by. 20-plus weeks up, 20-plus weeks down. Been a journey, man. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for all the support. I really do appreciate it. Probably going to end it here. I don't know if my boy's going to be on this week. I'm in this weird phase where it's like, well, do you want to talk about college basketball an hour, or do you just say, F it, wait till next week, have him on next week when we can start doing it more often, because there's always going to be is college basketball talk for a bit. Well, obviously I'll talk about NFL still, touch on some NBA, touch on other sports going on, but it's going to be heavy probably college basketball going on leading up into March Madness. And after that, we'll talk a little bit NBA, going to NBA Finals, and then it's golf time, man. It's crazy to think about. I've already been talking to the boys. We already got tee times getting set up here soon, hopefully. And by that, we aren't even set up a tee time at all. We've been talking about, like, hey, it's almost that time now. Almost that time now. But yeah, no, if you know when it's golf season, there ain't much going on. It's going to be crazy. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Like I said, I'll see everybody back in this feed most likely Tuesday to go over pretty much. I don't lie to you. I don't know what we're going to do with Tuesday. Obviously, go over some NFL news, talk about some exciting stuff that happened over the weekend. Probably lightly touch on college basketball, but then probably just be more Super Bowl talk. I don't know what angle I want to attack it from. Maybe I might break it up. Maybe we just go over some I don't know. We're going to have to figure it out. It's going to be some Super Bowl talk. I don't know how I want to base it around, though. Maybe it's just NFL season talk. Tuesday could end up becoming that. It's either going to be Super Bowl talk or it's going to become like a season in review, some of the best moments of the season. If I don't do that Tuesday, I'm for sure going to do it the week or two after the Super Bowl's done, just to kind of give football one last kiss goodbye before we get into some big stuff. But yeah, like I said, thank you all for watching. Thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. And I will see pretty much everybody back in this feed on Tuesday to talk some more football.